This is Irontrader. This is the last call of the day. So we're going to take a look here at Bitcoin, at Ethereum. I think I was pronouncing that wrong, at Ethereum. Ethereum. Okay, gold, silver, and crude oil and natural gas. At the end of the video, the support and resistance levels are posted for crude and natural gas. This video is for information purposes only, not a recommendation by selling stock market ETF. Please like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Alrighty, here we have Bitcoin. Okay, your daily and your weekly chart. Now you can see here how we have this bottoming tail in there. The question is, will it hold? That's going to be the key. Now on the downside, what we really want to watch is we want to watch yesterday's low, that 91,315, and then we want to watch today's low at that 89,325. What we're really looking at here, this was selling off here, I'm looking for the top of that candle, the top of that candle, the top of that candle. But realistically, all the way down here was at 89.20, and we got down today here so as low as that 89.325. So right now, this area here is holding. Okay, that's going to be very, very key. Now, if we start losing that there, then we're going to come right down to the bottom there. You're looking at 87.70 level. We'll come down here at 84.790. We come down here at 83.190. We can venture down here at 79.55. And we got retest down here at 74.630. Now, this is very important. Simple reason is you can see how we went up here and we made that high, okay, that 89.20. Then it came all down here. We made a nice double bottom with a higher low, and then it rallied up and it broke through that level, okay? Then she just rallied right on up here very nicely. So this is going to be very, very key support. We've got to hold at 89.20. If not, we got a good chance of hitting all the way down here at that 74.635 level, okay? Now, here on the upside, let's take a look at the upside here, okay? Now, what do we have here today? We have this, we hit as high as 93 on 960 level. So we're looking at right at the bottom of that candle, 94.230. That's going to be your next a level there. And then we come up here to yesterday's high. You got 96.145. Then we're going to look here to the bottom at 97.905. Then we're looking right here at that 99,250. But this is going to be the key, is that 99,293 level, which is just right above it, okay? Now you can see how the 8-day, the 21-day, the 50-day, everything is kind of rolling over. However, we're already rolled, okay? We have this series of a downtrending stay of high, lower, low, lower, low, and lower, low situation. However, what I'm looking for here is maybe we can rally all the way back up to that 8-day. Then if it pulls back, and even if it retests this, but if we can hold this level at that 89,325, that'd be a really good buying opportunity kind of a situation. Now, I traded the BITX there today. Now, remember, you have to get in there by the 25th. As far as their dividend goes, their dividend now is up to like over 16%. They could be paying, I think, 57 cents a share to 60 cents. They usually pay between 57 and 61 cents a share on that ETF there. So again, if you can buy it down here and hold it, get that dividend, and then we could run it up here and maybe get that retest all the way down. Well, we don't know. It could break above that. So again, we're really sliding all the way down. And look at here. We came down to almost oversold, and now we're bouncing up, and the green is below your red. Now again, just because we have a 1 day of a candle, one day does not make a whole market, okay? So we got to really watch yesterday's low. That's at 91,315, and then today's low at that 89,325, but we're holding this key level right there at that 89.20 level, okay? So again, be just a little bit patient here. Trade in both directions. That's the key. Now, here we have, so far, we have this bottoming tail here on the weekly chart, but what I don't like is, see how that 8-day crossed over that 21-day? That's going to be very, very strong resistance as we go on up here, okay? So really, if we can get right back up to the situation, we're going to be looking right there at that 99.90 level. Then we got that 50-day at 103. We'll have that 8-day at 107, and we have your 21-day at that 112.29 level, okay? Now, downside, if this keeps on falling here, we got that level right here at that 83.552 level. That could come down, and you still would be an uptrending chart. See how we have this? The 50-day was holding nice, and then she came unglued, but you're still bottom left, up right. Even if we come down to that 100-day, we still have a series of higher low situations and higher high situations, okay? So you got to be a little bit patient. I just think right now, I just think we're going to get a rally into the end of the year, but you got to be really patient with this here. Don't have no opinion. That's why we want to, we trade the charts here. Okay, it came right on down. But I say, once you can see that it start crawling up here, that was the signal for me to get back into that BITX and take a long trade. So right now I'm long, and I'm going to see how this is going to shake out when those futures open. Now, right here, we're not oversold yet. We're not oversold here on this one either. So again, just be a little patient here to see if that bottoming tail and that bottoming tail hold. Okay, let's take a look here now at Ethereum. Okay, here we have Ethereum. I was pronouncing this thing Ethereum. I don't know why I was doing that, but it's Ethereum. I heard a couple of people on that Bloomberg say it's Ethereum. So okay, we're gonna go with the Ethereum then. Okay, all right. So anyway, this chart here looks pretty good. Simple reason is, hey, see how we held this key level right here was right there. Okay, it was that 30.073 and that 200 SMA here sitting at 3.064. Now yesterday you can see where we went down below. We hit that 29.59. Today we hit 29.48. So we put a little bit lower. But look at that nice green candle here, and now we're back above that 200-day. That's going to look pretty good. Now, on the upside, we're going to be watching right there at that 31.75, and then we have that 32.26, and then we'll be looking here for that 8-day at that 3,300 level. Okay, we start getting above that while we have a lot of good targets up there. You got a 33.76 level. We'll come down to the bottom there at a 34.12 level. Then we come to the bottom of this candle here. You're looking at 35.14. Then we can rally all the way to that 35.86. That's going to be your big boy. But let's just see if we can get back above that 8-day. Then we can just take our hit those all these big targets, your 21-day, your 100-day, and your 50 SMA here. But you can see here how this is downtrending, just like what Bitcoin is. But I just think it's going to be just a little bit like of a matter of time situation where this possibly can go there and hit that 8-day, and then we have to see what the reaction is once they get there. Okay. So now again, if we start losing that key level here, that 29.59 level right down there, we start losing that 29 today's low, actually 29.48. Then we're going to be looking right here. See the bottom of this candle right there, 29.25. There's your gap. And then we look to the top of that candle at that 28.53 level. Okay, so your gap and then your fill. Okay, then we'll come right to the top of that candle. You're looking at that 27.91, and then the top there at 27.51. Those will be your support levels. Okay, right now here we're looking here really good here on the RSI, and we're looking good here on the MACD. Maybe we have a bottom put in here, or at least a good short time term trade, I say, back up at least to that 8-day, possibly to that 21-day. Now, we look at the weekly chart here. You can see here now we have a nice green candle here so far. Now, where you've got to hold that 8-day, that key 50-day at 31.26 and that 30.64 level. That's going to be very, very key. Then we can have a nice good run up kind of a situation. Now, if you look at this, you can see here where that 8-day crossed that 21-day. That's never good. So as this rises up, that's going to be very, very strong resistance until we can reverse that 8-day like we had here. And then once that price gets back above, then she can run up nicely. Now, this here is not overbought or oversold. The green is over your red, shows that big momentum to the downside. But again, that can also be reversed here if these bottoming tails here can hold. Okay, let's take a look here now at gold and silver. All right, here we have the gold and here we have silver, and I can see here how nice how we're holding this 50 SMA. Now, we did make a lower low and a lower high today, but we have a green candle, and right now we're basically above that 21-day. So that 21-day is going to be support, 46, 43, 59, 40, 40, 60 level, okay? And then what we can do is we can come down to the bottom of that candle. You're looking at 40.32. Yesterday's low at 40.06, and then we come down to today's low at that 39.97. Then we have your 50-day, and then we have your retest down there at that 39.01, which is basically all it is just the bottom of that candle. Okay, now upside here, we got to get back above that 8-day, get at 41.05. Now, I didn't take no trade in this. I'm not going to call a big gold to silver trader. However, when we get that juice where it gets above, then yes, I am. But you always got to trade the charts and watch it for topping tails. Now, for me, I'll be looking for here for that 41.05. If we can get it back above that 41.05, then I'll jump into GLD here, and I'll go to the next level, 41.24. We have, what do we got up here? We got 41.55. We have 42.18. Then we'll come up here, that 42.50 level. Then we can hit this target, 43.46, and then 43.98 level. That's going to be your big retest, okay? But right now, we're basically trading here between that 21-day and that 8-day, okay? Like for me, I'm just kind of waiting patiently and just watching that 8-day. If I can get above that, then I say I'll jump in that GLD, and we'll take it at least up to this level there. Now, 52, that's an overbought, oversold. Sold, we have sideways action going on here. So overall, this is still looking like a very, very nice chart. If you look at it, you can still see a nice, good rising kind of a situation. Now, what I did point out here earlier, I don't know if you can see this or not. Maybe if I know what the hell I'm doing, I could see it myself. Okay, here we go. See how we have this rounded thing? This is almost like a cup, okay? Now, if this can curl back up here, that could be the handle, okay? So when you see a cup and a handle, when you break out of that top level, that 42.50, she rips right up to that 43.98, and then that can blow all the way to that 4,500 very, very easy. So let's just see if that pattern shakes out. So if you want to know a little bit about patterns, you can go on my playlist. I got all about chart patterns going on there, candlesticks, whatever you want to do at your convenience. But let's just see if this can make a possible cup and a handle situation, and then maybe we can break above that, jump in that GLD, make a couple of gold coins there going to that 43.98. Okay, silver, really nice, good double top situation. I'm all out of the trade, and I'm doing the same thing here. I'm waiting for this to actually close above that 50.81 level. Right now, we're sitting like right at it. Okay, so if we get above that, we'll come right to the top of that candle there at 51.13, and then we'll venture up there 51.61. We have 51.83. And then we have 52.63. We'll come up there at 53.76. Then we have your big retest there at 54.41. You crack that, you go into that 55 very, very easily. Now, on the downside here, we're going to be watching right there, okay, 49.86. Then we'll come down here to the bottom, 49.34. And then we'll watch that 21-day right there at that 48.98 level. And we can come right there to the bottom of this candle right here. Okay, you're looking at 48.23. Then we're looking for that 50-day, 47.56, and then we have that 45.51 on your retest. Okay, now we have pretty much the same kind of a situation here. Okay, so we just take that, let me take that down a little bit. How you doing there? Okay, there we go. Okay, now we're talking. Okay, so this here was a double top. It's not like what we have here. See how that nice good cup could develop and handle could develop here. This here, we just had a double top. Okay, so you don't really have that cup and handle. We just had that double top, and realistically, you got to get rid of the back above that 8-day, close above that, then I'll jump into SLV, I should say, and then we'll maybe take and retest that 54.41 level. But I got to be a little bit patient with what's going on here. 57, that's not overbought, oversold. The green is still over your red, sideways action. So actually, silver is looking very, very good because we have a low, higher low, and a higher low situation. This looks like this could actually propel maybe up higher towards that 54 mark. Okay, let's take a look here now at the old crude ski. All right, here we have crude oil. Okay, daily and your weekly chart. Remember, the API report will be out today at 4:30. We'll see how that's all shaked out. Now, T-Man make a big deal with all these new fighter jets that they're selling over to Saudi Arabia. That was a good deal. I think it was like $600 billion or something ridiculous like that. You can see where oil is actually holding its own right here, okay? It's really holding its own. But when you look at this, see how this 50-day is everything, okay? See how it went into it, couldn't do it, went into it, couldn't do it, and now we're retesting this again. The key is you got to crack above that 50-day. That's going to be very, very key, okay? So just hang on one second. All right, if we can crack above that 50 SMA here, then what we're going to do is we can just melt right on up here, okay? So we crack above that 50-day at 61.05. Then we can test this level here, 61.28. We'll come up to that level. You're looking at 61.50. Then we can venture all the way up here to the 62.17, and then your 62.59 retest. That's what we'll be looking for, okay? Right above that, we have that 63.17. You have your 200-day 64.49. And then what we can do is we venture up to the top of this candle, 65.40, and then we can look at old sticky up here at 66.42 level. But you can see how this is still downtrending. Now, on this chart here, we had that left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder, but this right shoulder is really stinking out here quite a bit, almost too far now. You know what I'm saying? But again, the key to this is going to be when P-Man put the sanctions on Russia, okay, on those two big oil companies, that's about a quarter of Russian income there, and that's not good. Okay, and then right now Ukraine is still bombing all their ports and all this kind of stuff. So that's why crude oil is hanging in. But always remember that we got a really good sized glut also going in, you know, on crude oil. Big, huge builds that we're getting here. We're going to see what the API report and EIA report will be this week, but you got huge build. However, that another being said, on the other side of that is now the U.S. is at this price is starting to fill up their SPR. Okay, so they're going to take some of that supply off the old market. So this is why we got a lot of this is why I like trading crude, because it's always in play. Okay, so I go UCO for the long, SCO for the short. Okay, and sometimes I hold both the long and the short at the same time. Now, those work really good. But again, for me, I just got to watch that 50-day. Above that, then we can start hitting all these other targets going right up here very, very nicely. Now, on the downside, right here, nice good support is at 60.11. And then we have that 8-day at 59.79. We start losing that. We're going down to do today's low at 59.26 level. We'll come down here at 58.71. We'll retest down here at 58.12. And then we come down to the bottom 57.34, 56.34, 35 level. And then your big retest at 55.96 level. But right now here, we still have a downtrending situation. High, lower, high, lower, high, lower, high. That 50-day you can see is just everything. You got to get above it in order to do it. 52, and that's not overbought or oversold. The green is over your red. Got a little bit of momentum, but let's just see how this is all going to shake out, because every time it gets it, respect that 50-day, it wants to go up to it, and then it wants to come right on down. Now, we look at the weekly chart. You can see here, see how you have a descending situation. Okay, not good. Okay, so we got to hold that 8-day. That's going to be very key on the weekly, that 59.87. Then you have your retest, 55.96. and then the big boy down here at 55.12. Now, if we can rally up here, we could probably maybe get to that 62.84 level. That would be probably be pretty good. That'd be just right above your price channel, and we'd be heading right towards that 100-day. And the next level is going to be right there, that 65 level, okay, which will be just above the 200-day, which will be right around in this neck of the woods right there at that 65.40 level, and then maybe a little above, just below that, the retest at 66.42. But we got to see if it can actually do that. Right now it doesn't really look that great. It just looks like we just had this sideways downtrending action. But let's just see how that shakes out. Let's just see how the EIA reports and API reports come out, and then watch any kind of a news if you're trading crude oil, long or short, because that always affects it. That's why I like trading crude. Okay, let's take a look here now at natural gas. All right, here we have natural gas. Okay, now you can see here how we just topped out pretty much here at that 4.68. If we keep running rolling, there's your target at 490. Okay, pretty simple. Okay, now in order to do that, we got to get above that 8-day. Okay, 4.448. Okay, if we do, we can come up here to the next level. Looking at what are we looking at there? 4.50. We look at yesterday's high, 4.54. We'll come up here at 4.58, and then we have 4.63, and then 4.68. But you got to get above this 8-day. That's going to be key. Now, today we hit this low of 4.23 level. What we're watching is right on here, looking at 4.26, came a little bit below that. Your next level is going to be that, really that 418, 419 level. Okay, if it keeps right on going, then we have 408, and then we come right on down here to that 404 level. Okay, now you can see here it got to an overbought condition. Now it came down. So we got to see how this is going to shake out. But your green here, see how this is going to be rolling over? That's not really a good look here. Okay, that's not really a good look. And right now what we have a hanging man. Okay, old hangman here. Again, the key is going to be getting back above that 8-day to take a propel it right to that 4.68. If we can, you're going to hit that, and that's going to roll over, and we're going to continue to just kind of slide right on down. Downside, this is the big target at that 404 level. Okay, now weekly chart here, you can see how it just boom all the way up here to that $10. Not saying that's where it's going, but again, if we crack above it, I want to show you this right here. See this? That's that 490. That's your big target. Okay, but if it keeps trying on cracking up here, look at it. We have targets that here. We just bring that price channel across here. So you got 628 up there. See, we got 6.46 up there. We bring this candle right that price channel across. You got 710. We bring this across here. You got 760, and then we just follow all these candles up here. 752. We got to talk about $8, and then we talk about $9, and then we're talking about $10, and then we got right there is your 10.02. That's going to be your big target level. Okay. Now you can see here how on the weekly we had this consolidation sideways, and now she's just ripping up here very nice. Look at that 8-day cross the 2150-day. Now we're headed for the 200 SMA here. But again, we have this red candle here so far. But again, 4.68. You got to crack that in order to go to that next level, which is 4.90. Okay. Now, just be a little patient with this, okay? So for me, it just was just a trading situation. Yesterday, I scalped that KOLD, and that worked out very, very nicely. Today, it took a little bit of UNG. Came right down here, and then you can see here how we're getting right into this mix right here. See this? Okay, not necessarily the bottom of the candle, but right in that mix of that closing right there. Okay, see this right there? See how that closing is? You're looking at that 420 level, and what we hit there today, you hit that 423. So you're sitting right there in that mix that held it, and I scalped the yellow UNG here. Now I'm all out of the trade. Now I'll be watching at 6 o'clock. I'll be watching this right here, that 4.44 on the upside, and I'll be watching yesterday's low on the downside, and then today's low on the downside. All right. That's what I got for you. I'll be back here tomorrow morning, and we'll do it all over again. Remember, API report will be out today at 4:30. Tomorrow, the EIA for crude. Thursday, EIA for natural gas. And then Friday, we have the old rig count. Now, tomorrow's going to be a very, very important day because we got the NVIDIA numbers, and that's going to determine what tech is going to, I think, basically what it's going to do, okay? If they have good numbers, if they have bad numbers. Now, remember, the options are predicting, I think it's a 7% move in the stock. So it could move 7% up, 7% down. Okay, so let's just see how that's all going to shake up. But they have blowout numbers. You could reverse this market real quick and rally this bad boy higher. All right, trade what's in front of you. Now what you want.